You're listening to Rocket Night.
Are you ready? Hey, tonight I'm gonna take you on a little trip. We're going down south by the mighty Mississippi. I'm gonna take you to a place where lights never dim. Bring your mother, your brother, and your best friend. I'm gonna show you where they dance out in the street. They'll tell you all about your body heat. I'm not gonna talk about it, just gonna do it. Get on down, if you feel good now. Get on down.
Okay, this is Rocket Night, and we have the privilege of speaking with just a very talented guitarist that's been around for quite a while now, played in some obviously fantastic bands, and just want to introduce everyone to the great Laurence Archer. Mr. Archer, thank you so much for being here. We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, guys. It's my pleasure, yeah. Thank you very much for that lovely introduction.
Oh, you're certainly welcome. Laurence, just going back into the early 80s, I guess, and maybe perhaps late 70s, when you started, you were just a very young man, around 20 or so.
Even younger, about 18, 19, yeah.
That's incredible. And, obviously your experiences with Phil Lynott, I always pronounce that wrong, but just incredible. I mean, and as we go through the stages of your career, UFO, some of the other bands that you've played with, maybe you can explain it better than I can. Just some of your history.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, basically, when I started, when I started playing guitar, I was looking at all these bands. There was a famous program here that called Sight and Sound in Concert, and Lizzie and AC/DC, and all the big bands of the late 70s or middle 70s were on there. And it was just my ambition to I just knew that's what I wanted to do, sort of thing. And sort of within 4 years or so, I was, hanging around with Phil, and I got a short brief. The way it started was I had a very young band based in a place called Bristol in England, and Iron Maiden were on tour, and I took a tape of the demo and not expecting anything to them, and then about 2 weeks later I got asked if we would support Saxon on the Wheels of Steel tour, and I think I was about 17 and a half. I was quite young then. And then we did the first Wheels of Steel tour with my band, The Trek, and then we got on so well with the guys, they asked us back. They rebooked the whole tour because it went to #1. And that was sort of my introduction into what it takes to sort of be on the road, in a transit van, and, with 5 people in one vehicle and all that. And then from there, I got recognized by Jimmy Bain. Jimmy asked me to join Wild Horses, which I did for a short period of time. And then very much at the same time, I had written some songs, and we put a band together and called it Stampede, and we were signed by Polydor, which I then went out. We did Reading Festival and quite a few of the other bigger festivals in England, and then we did the Gary Moore tour in 1982 with the Corridors of Power tour. And then just trying to run through it very briefly. And then I got asked we were waiting for our second advance with Polydor, and Phil approached me about forming a band. He'd already spoken to me because Wild Horses was under the same management. So I knew Phil pretty well, and he'd made waves about me joining Thin Lizzy at that time. but I was already signed to Polydor to start the Stampede project at that point. And so after all that finished, Phil called me and we put Grand Slam together, the original Grand Slam in like 1980. It was late 83 really that we put it together, and it didn't really come to fruition until probably about 4 or 5 months later, because I was on tour. Basically, I filled in for a guy called Tony Clarkin in Magnum, a band called Magnum that were quite big here. And he wasn't very well, so they asked me to do the shows. So I did that. As soon as I finished that, I came back and started with Phil. After the Grand Slam thing and the sad end of Phil's life, I did some shows with various people, and I did a solo album for Japan. You know, I did various projects. And then I had a band together in London, and we were managed by Status Quo's management. And we just did some showcases and a couple of TV shows and some various bits and pieces called Rhode Island Red. And then UFO, I'd known Pete for some time, and he'd asked me previously about joining UFO. They wanted an English guitar player, essentially, because it was an, you know, I know Michael's German, but, you know, it's like they wanted to sort of keep it in the English camp as such, go back to its roots. And I said, yeah, you know, I mean, I love UFO. I grew up on Strangers in the Night, you know. So, yeah, then I did that for 3 or 4 years. And after that, I did an album with a band called Medicine Head, which I don't know whether you know, I've ever heard of a band called Medicine Head. It was a guy called John Fiddler, who was in the original British Lions, I think they were called back then. And they did some shows in America. They had Yardbird connections and various other things. And then at the end of we sort of did a world tour with UFO, and then we were just about to go to America. And my deal with them was I would do it. You know, we did a studio album, and then we did a live album in Japan. And then we were due to come to America, but my deal with them was that they would have to remain dry, as in not drinking, not taking drugs, you know, being clean. Unfortunately, they fell off the wagon a little bit, and I sort of pulled myself away, rightly or wrongly, probably the wrong decision at the time. I should have maybe stuck with it, but I sort of retired then. I loved motor cars and bikes and stuff, and I sort of, for about 2 years, I was just racing whatever I could get hold of. And then I went into the film industry in the late 90s, and I didn't really pick a guitar up for about 10 years, to be honest.
Really?
I still wrote quite a bit, you know. It was, you know. And then Polydor and Universal started releasing old albums, and then I started getting back into playing. We did a couple of showcases with the bands that I had signed to Polydor. I put a small band together, which was basically all guys from UFO, and Rocky, the bass player, who was in Michael Schenker's band at the time. And we went out and toured the material that I'd written and Danny Perrineau had written, you know, on the Heavy Petting album. We went out and toured that for a while. And I was still in the film industry at this point. I was still sort of working. And then I had this sort of point in my life where I wanted to give the fans a proper, respectful recording of what Phil and I had written in 1984, because although there are good recordings out there, nobody has put them out. They put all these horrible work in progress demos that I had nothing to do with other than being on them originally, but they weren't finished product or anything, and they weren't representative properly of what we were doing. They were just, unfortunately, when Phil died, somebody went into his studio and sort of stole all the reel-to-reels and the backing tracks and the bits and pieces we've been doing. You know, some were half finished, some were not finished, some were, you know, we go in and we'd spend every day in the studio, and we go in and we'd re-record stuff over stuff. You know, we were in the progress of writing, and you know, although we got to a good state with the writing, the recordings are not right. So it's always been my goal to record the songs properly. And over a period of time, I'd sort of had cherry picked the musicians that I wanted to be on it, including Mike, the singer, because I knew that he had the right candor for the albums. So in 2018, I had literally just finished filming in the Caribbean, and I came back and went straight into the studio. We did 2 weeks of rehearsals. I'd had Mike come to visit me on many occasions to hone in all the vocals and the lyric and on the new songs as well as the old. So by the time we got to do the album, we were reasonably well prepared. The first album hit the ground, that is, in 2018. And then it was released 2019 by Marshall Records. And then unfortunately COVID hit. So we were, you know, you wait 30 years to do an album, and then you get, how's your luck, how's your timing? But anyway, we've continued. We've done quite a few shows. We've done quite a few big shows. Done some great festivals. We did a very short tour before the COVID thing happened in UK, and all our plans. We sat on our bums for 2 years almost, it felt like. And then I wanted to record this new album. I had most of the songs in the bag already. You know, Mike and I had worked on quite a few over a period of time. But this was really very much you know, we went into a rehearsal room with Rocky and Benji, the drummer and the bass player, for 2 days, knocked out these tunes, and I managed to give them all the arrangements enough for us to go in and start with the backing tracks as basics, and then I just started knocking it all out. You know, I had a vision in my head, and it was the first thing that I wanted to do. You know, I've always been involved in the production on every album that I've been involved with, but with this, it was very important for me to know that I could see the end result and it be what I had in my head. So we didn't have a producer or anything. That I produced it myself, purely because I felt that I'd have the knowledge and the ears to do it, you know, the way I'd like to do it. And I'm very happy. You know, I'm really happy with the result. Very happy with the result.
Yeah, I've caught a couple of the songs, and great lineup. You know, it's just there's something about that lineup with Mike and the rest of the band, and you guys definitely click. Before I get back into Grand Slam,
well, it's a very natural process between all four of us. It's you know, I've known Rocky for a long time. I've obviously known Mike for a long time, but the way it gels and fits together, it's very easy. You know, we're not doing anything by design. We're doing just the way we
naturally,
play, you know, the way we
play, right? I've got to mention, years ago, you played in a band called Rhode Island Red, and the reason I mention this is because I was born and raised in the state of Rhode Island here in America, and we just had this huge group of fans. And I know that band didn't last too long, but we loved that band. I mean, it was like, well, let's for our state, you know, type of thing. Really,
yeah. I mean, Mike was actually in that band. You know, Mike was the singer in that band, and the material was great. We had Gary Liederman, who was actually bass playing with Thin Lizzy after that, and we had a Spanish drummer called Manolo, who was fantastic drummer. Yeah, the band was crazy mad, and it, you know, it was a bit like a bit like a British Van Halen to what, you know, it was like that's where we were going. And if I hadn't have joined UFO, it probably would have gone somewhere. But the industry in England at that point, nobody was signing rock bands, and it was really hard to get things up and running, and you really had to work it, you know. But yeah, we had a great fan base, Rode on Reddit. I keep getting people, you know, even now coming up to me saying, "Look, you know, I saw you guys at the Astoria doing it." You know, it's like, so although it was short-lived, we seemed to make a little bit of an impact there. So, you know,
It's just another notch in your belt, basically, you know, just another good band that, you know, you've continued for over 40 years, you know, doing it time after time. And you know, getting into this new project, Grand Slam, again, I'm really looking forward to it. I know you have a new album coming out, I believe June 7th. And
June 7th, yeah, on Silver Lining Warner Brothers, yeah.
And that's great. I really
Yeah.
recommend it highly to anyone listening. I've heard a couple of cuts off it, checked out a couple of videos.
Yeah.
Spitfire.
Do you like our fun video with the E-Type on "There Goes My Heart"? That's
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, just fun, you know, a lot of fun.
Yeah.
With the great music. I mean, that's what it's all about. And
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, I always try and make sure there's some sort of message without being too political, but you know, we tell stories about various things. Trail of Tears is about the American Indian struggle, you know, all those things. The Spitfire, you know, it's a hard rock song, but actually, if you look underneath, it's about these young kids that were brought in to fly these fighter planes at 17, 18 years old, you know, with a life expectancy of like 7 days or something stupid, you know. So there's stories behind every song, you know. There's and you know, it's not just about love songs. And you know, I wrote "There Goes My Heart" as a love song initially, and when I got together with Mike, we sort of twisted it into this thing about, is it the car, is it the girl, you know. You know,
right,
to make it a bit more off the wall and a bit more fun. But we had
very
a great time shooting the video, because that's all round where I live in Spain.
Yeah, awesome. And awesome ending to that video when the four of you just walking down the street, arm in arm, basically.
Yeah. It's funny. It's good. And we've got another 3 videos in the bag, man, for the next releases. So we're really happy.
That's really good.
We've got like a half animated, half real life on pirate song. You know, we've had this guy working on the animation for ages. Unfortunately, he's become unwell, and we've handed it to somebody else. But we're filling all the blanks with live stuff. But yeah, we're really happy with the end result. And Silver Lining and Warner Brothers have been great. You know, they've been really good at helping us out. You know?
That's awesome.
We're so desperate to put this on the map and get out and play, you know, as much as we can. You know, that's the end goal. Get it to you guys. You know, get it out to the people. You know, that's the thing.
Sure. Any plans on tours? Europe, America?
Well, we've got a few. We're in France in a couple of weeks' time doing. It's a Thin Lizzy related event, but it's called the Lizzy Fest. We're headlining that, and then I'm going back over to England to the same studio to record some bonus tracks. We're going to do bonus tracks. We need bonus tracks for our release in Japan, but we're also doing a couple of other things that we're hoping is going to be like a special event, really, you know, something that probably wouldn't be expected. But yeah, it's going to be fun. And then we're off to Sweden. You know, we have quite a big following in Sweden, so we're going to go back to Sweden in July, and then we're going to Ireland in August. and then back to France, I think, in October. But we want to do, we want to tour, but we want to make sure we're touring on, we're trying to, not that you can, but we're trying to cherry pick the right thing. I mean, either a decent support band with the right type of thing, or a co-headline with somebody, So at the moment, we've got new management, and I think we've probably got new agents on the go, and it's all a bit fresh. Up to now, most people contact me regarding festivals. We did the Legends of Rock Festival in Spain. It's like 40,000 people, I think. It's a fantastic festival. But it was like 48 degrees. The guys came over. It was like, oh my God, we all jumped in ice baths after we came off stage because it was so hot. But but yes, at the end of the day, it's all about touring. We've got, with the COVID thing and the release of Hit the Ground when it came out, we've now got, the Hit the Ground is going to come out again. We've remastered it. I've put Rocky on it, and I've put a guy called Jem Davis, who's the keyboard player from FM, has redone all the keyboards, and we've redone all the bass, and I've remixed it and remastered it, and that's coming out, I think, this month actually. And then Wheel of Fortune comes out on the 7th of June. But with the whole COVID thing and the lack of touring over that period of time, it's almost like we've got 2 new albums, really. Do you know what I mean? It's almost like, so in theory, we should get a couple of years touring out of this to get it to the people,
Yeah.
That's what we're hoping.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping too.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you. I mean, I'd love to see you here. There's no doubt.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not blowing my own trumpet in any way, but the band seems to kick ass on. I mean, we really do kick ass on stage, and so, to the point where we've surprised people. Where we've just done a support or whatever, and they just go, "Oh my God, we're not going on after you." So it's everything works great, and I'm really looking forward to the future. And it's a band; it's not a project. I want to say that to all the fans. It's not a short-term project. This is a long-term project with 4 characters that are going to, we're knitted together to make this thing work, and we're all doing our bit to try and make it work as much as we can.
Yeah, that's great to hear that, this is long-term and people will jump on board,
Yeah.
It's not like a one thing.
Yeah, I think it's really important to a lot of these guys. I don't have anything against what they do, but a lot of artists, Glenn Hughes and Joe Bonamassa, and I mean, they just seem to jump from one. It's like, oh, I've got a new album out here, and then it's the band thing. For me, I'm a bit old school. It's a bit like you can connect with the 4 different characters. You've got that thing going on, where you understand where we're coming from, and it's not short-lived. It's 4 characters, and I think that's important for people to be able to connect to music and the personalities within the band,
Right. And there are definitely some personalities in the band. I mean, on the video at least, just they draw you in, just do.
Yeah, you have to see Mike on stage because he's a crazy man.
I've seen a couple of live footage of him, and back and forth running around. Just a great man. I mean, awesome. Hey, I'm looking forward to it. I had one quick question for you, and I don't know if a lot of people know this about you, that with Thin Lizzy, you had a big part in the writing of Dedication, from what I understand.
Yes. I wrote Dedication 2 years before I got together with Phil.
Right.
I wrote it for. I actually wrote it for my band Stampede when I was signed to Polydor, but it only ever got to demo stage. I played it to Phil and he loved it, and then unfortunately, we got asked by EMI to demo some songs, when we first put Grand Slam together, and we went into EMI. And Phil wasn't well; he was going through a bit of a bad period, and I ended up going, well, Phil's not here, so let's do, you know, there was only actually me, a guy called Robbie Brennan on drums at that time. So I went into EMI, and I did the whole, it was just me and Robbie. I did the whole thing myself. And then Phil came in about 2 days later when he felt better. And that's the only time he ever sang it, recorded, you know, that's the only ever recorded voice of Phil singing it. Okay. So what happened was then is that the record company, when they wanted to relaunch another album, they tried to make it look like it was an old undiscovered track. It was a bit underhand what they did.
Yeah.
And I didn't know anything about it until, and actually one of my crew phoned me up and said, I've just heard your song. I mean, a long-time crew, he knew me from old, and he said, I've just heard your song on the radio. And that was the first time I heard it. So I immediately phoned up my management and said, what's going on? And they sort of went, hold their hands up. But essentially, it was all to sell, put a new angle on the new Lizzie release, or you know, the fact that I'd written it, before I got together with Phil, and it was I had it registered with PRS and all the music industry societies, so they couldn't do anything about it. Eventually, they had to do it, but it was a bit of a shock. It's still something that plays on my mind about getting recognized for, because they didn't put my name down on the credits, obviously, because that would have blown their cover.
Right.
So, who's this young kid that's written this song, in Lizzie in 1975?
Right. Let's not pay them. Let's just keep it for ourselves, right?
Yeah. So yeah, no, I wasn't very happy, but yes, it's all my song. I mean, Phil ended up changing some lyrics and stuff, obviously, but it's all my song. And I'm actually going to release one of the original demos that I did of it, which was all me and me singing. I'm just going to put it out there as a bonus track on one of the next releases. So that's great. Something that will happen.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Probably my favorite Thin Lizzy song, and for years I'm always thinking, okay, this, Phil wrote that and that's his song, and you should have gotten that, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it was difficult enough for them to to do that and sort of try and make it look like a Thin Lizzy song from the past, but the worst thing for me is they put a video together and cut it all together to make it look like it was Brian and Phil from I think it was like 76 or something, when they were doing the Live and Dangerous stuff, which is just ridiculous. But they did a good job on it. But I got my behind the closed doors, I got my credit, but I'm not. It's still a fight to get my name on any new worldwide release, anything regarding Lizzie. I have to make sure that Universal or Polydor, whoever, Polygram are doing it correctly. That song was written on a Porter studio in my bedroom
is that right?
In London, a couple of years before I joined Phil.
Some of the best stuff comes out, when you first right? I mean, fresh ideas and but
I mean, it's quite a few of the songs on the new Grand Slam album, all started off in that state. That's how I write. I actually write on a looper a lot of the time. I try and get these grooves going and get things, and then and sometimes I mean, I pick things from I might have written a part in 1986. I might have written something in 1986, and it's like Gone Are the Days, which is on the first album. I did write that in about 1980, I think about 1988, maybe even just before that. And I wrote it in a totally different way. And then I started playing around with it. And I said, this is a great song. It should be out there. So somebody has released it, the first version of it I did with my solo band. It's out there called Archer Scallon Hidden Gems, I think it's called. Peter Scallon was my singer at that point. But a guy in Italy has released it on his label. But the new version of the song that's on the album, you know, I completely rearranged and changed the feel, and Mike played with some lyrics, and you know, so. But you know, these things come from you know, I write all the time, you know, and it might just be sitting in front of the TV with the acoustic guitar, or it might be here in my little, you know, my little studio, and little ideas come about here and there. You know, I'm just about to put another one together. I'm actually got to the point where I'm arranging it to go into to record it in a couple of weeks' time. But it's a song that I've used to sing to myself in the hotel rooms when I was out on the film industry. You know, I was just with my acoustic guitar. But yeah, so you know, when you're a writer, these things come out of nowhere, and then sometimes you'll think of something you did 15 years ago, or you know, that you've not really extended on, and then go, oh, that will fit with that.
Well, Laurence, it's been great. I really enjoyed speaking with you. Looking forward to this new album, June 7th, Grand Slam. Highly recommend get out there, take a listen. People pick it up, and we're really looking forward to a talk from you in the near future. And
thank you, man.
I want to thank you.
I hope you enjoy the whole album, and you know, check the videos out, and you know, it will be a bit of fun. There's some more videos coming down the line. We've actually got another song coming out that called "Let's Come Together" in Harlem. I think that comes out just before the album, and it's a great video we've done for that. It's a good fun, really good fun video. So
we will check it out. Thank you so much, Laurence. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Mike.
And I hope to talk to you soon, man. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, man.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Here is Grand Slam with Spitfire.
21, 54. Right. Answer, Sly. I need to zero out. 21, 54. Yes. Now watch your hand.
Every time this girl's fine, summoned by the scrambled bell, time to fly.
You're listening to Rock at Night.
The introductory song, Get On Down, is from blues artist Billy Bass Alford. Look for his music at ReverbNation.com.